Sorry. Apologies. My Lords, I want to raise some quick reservations about Amendments 64, 112 and 113. I apologise I didn't speak on the topic before because it was always grouped with other things that I was speaking on. I absolutely understand the sentiments behind improving careers education. I just wanted to maybe get some clarification on the focus for these amendments. One real worry over recent years for me has been the constant instrumentalising of education for non-educational outcomes. Economic, social, cultural problems, schools are always asked to solve them. And even though, of course, performance at schools can be related to job prospects, I am worried that a utilitarian approach to school as a means to gain employment seems far too narrow and can backfire. And I think that I'd like some reassurance that a focus on careers education won't lead to that. As a teacher for many years, years ago, it was always very dispiriting when pupils and students adopted a rather Philistine attitude and would say things like, what's the point of studying Jane Austen or Shakespeare, it won't get me a job. And knowledge for its own sake was always sneered at. That's perfectly understandable. They were teenagers. It was a battle that one had in the classroom. And, you know, the argument was always, why don't you teach us relevant, useful skills that will help me earn some money, not all this guff? And I just want to ensure that we don't encourage that kind of Philistinism inadvertently here. So I suppose that I'm wary that too much focus on careers education can chip away at the importance of what is a young person's entitlement, even if they don't thank you at the time, to the best that's known and thought, regardless of whether students appreciate why it's important or even if it's actually totally useless in job acquisition. So I also worry in that context, I suppose, about a mandatory work experience proposition in one of the amendments of 10 days when there's so much to teach the young. I also noticed the amendments focusing on primary schools, and although it's just been explained as to why, that maybe by 7 you've ended up already being fixed in life, I'm less deterministic. I think with primary school pupils particularly, a time when dreaming and imagination and a notion that the world is one oyster, that the world is one's oyster, that you can be anything, I'm rather concerned about bringing it rather down to earth with a mighty bump if we send them off on careers skills education. And I'm particularly concerned when we're told the objective of this primary school careers education, this is in one of the amendments, of age-appropriate evidence-based career-related learning, which in itself my heart sank. But the quote here is, preventing children developing biases about different sectors and career paths, such as those based on gender, race and other protected characteristics. I think that sounds far too much like social engineering. I fear it could be divisive and in itself inadvertently end up making young children far too self-conscious of caricatured views of what type of people end up doing different jobs. That might not be the end result, but I think it could be a minefield for teachers and inadvertently introduce stereotypes about who works in what profession based on their characteristics into the classroom. So I'd let them dream, play and be imaginative and leave the careers till later.